To give some background, the article is an innovative piece written by Edward Herman and Noam Chomsky. It explores the methods in which mass media serves the interests of powerful elites. They present the argument that mainstream media in democratic societies is fundamentally shaped by a set of institutional filters that promote the agenda of dominant political and economic group, despite having the appearance of independence and diversity. This idea can be connected back to the lecture on surveillance capitalism. It relies on the increasingly ubiquitous institutionalization of digital instruments to feed on and even shape every aspect of every human's experience. I will be covering the 5 filters the article covers that influence media content, as these are the key points in the article. They establish ownership as one of the filters. Media outlets are controlled by huge corporations/individuals. They use their ownership to control the information and content being shared, sharing only the information that follows their biases and interests. This in turn greatly shapes the priorities and content of the media, favoring viewpoints that align with the interests of the owners. This bias can affect the coverage of issues in the media, such as labor rights, environmental concerns, and corporate malfeasance, potentially downplaying important perspectives. Understanding the influence of ownership is crucial in analyzing how media content is shaped and the extent to which it may reflect the perspectives and interests of those in power, rather than providing diverse and independent representation of information to the public. Moving on to the second filter, advertising. In the article, the advertising filter refers to the influence caused by the need for advertising revenue on media content. Media outlets rely on advertising as a main source of income, and this dependence shapes their editorial decisions and content priorities in a couple ways: commercial imperatives, corporate influence, avoidance of controversial topics, conflict of interest, product placement and soft news, clickbait and sensationalism, and influence on editorial priorities. Media organizations rely on advertising revenue, thus creating a dependency on corporations for financial support. This can lead to self-censorship to avoid offending advertisers, allowing for the economic interest to control any information presented to the public. The third filter is sourcing. As journalists often rely on official sources, such as government officials and corporate spokespeople, for information, this dependence can often result in small range of perspectives and bias towards the viewpoint of those with power and influence. The other issues with relying on official sources goes as follows: limited range of perspective, elite bias, access journalism, confirmation bias, lack of investigative journalism, government influence, corporate influence, and expert endorsement. These issues allow journalists to fail in communicating the diversity of perspectives presented in news coverage, and to recognize potential biases from the reliance on official sources. It undervalues the importance of a balanced and independent approach to gathering and reporting news. The following filter floor, is flack. News and media outlets normally receive flack from powerful people, organizations, and sometimes the public. If they were to deviate from previously established narratives, this flack can influence editorial decisions, encouraging conformity to avoid negative consequences. Flack can come in various forms, including complaints, legal actions, boycotts, and other concerted efforts to discredit or pressure media organizations. There are multiple aspects to consider when thinking about the many sources of flack: powerful people/organizations, economic pressures, social media, public backlash, political repercussions, legal challenges and lawsuits, boycotts, advertiser pressure, editorial changes, and self-censorship, and the effect on investigative journalism. Knowing what flack is makes it easier to understand how it challenges media organizations, preventing them from maintaining independence and providing diverse and critical perspectives. It shows the potential consequences of diverging from pre-established narratives or challenging powerful interests in the media. The fifth and final filter is fear ideology. Referring back to anti-communism in the World War era, media content was purely focused on anti-communist narrative. When the Cold War ended, the fear ideology filter persisted, resulting in media coverage aligning with the foremost political and economic interests of the time. The article refers back to a few concepts of fear ideology, such as historical context of the Cold War, impact on media content during the Cold War, legacy of fear ideology, war on terror and fear of terrorism, as well as national security narratives, political use of fear, impact on dissent and critical perspectives, and the normalization of surveillance and security measures. The government used fear ideology in order to control what information was spread about the Cold War. The influence of fear ideology on media shaped public opinion. It showcases the importance of media literacy and understanding how historical narratives and fear-based ideologies have and will continue to influence the information presented to the public. The quote, "The control of information is the ultimate power, and those who control it wield the greatest influence over society's perceptions and beliefs," supports the ideas that the ability to shape and control information is a powerful force in influencing public opinion and societal dynamics.